We welcome you today to MacStadium VDI, where we turn that painful wait of days into minutes. So let's get started. Who are we? MacStadium is the only cloud solution provider in the world that is 100% Mac. And we are not an afterthought bolted onto a Linux farm. We have 30,000 plus Macs in our data centers in Dublin, Las Vegas, and Atlanta. Fortune 500 clients, ISO 27001 and SOC 2 compliance, so your security teams can breathe. How many of you currently have or manage physical Macs for your dev teams? Brilliant. And I want to show you today how you are going to make your lives easier with MacStadium VDI solution. So here's the plan. We will, in the next few minutes, we will cover the problem, the solution, and a quick look at how it all fits together. And then we will do a live demo. No slides, no screenshots. We'll dive into the demo, create a VM, and access it here. So let me paint a picture for you. Someone on your team needs a new Mac workstation. IT tickets it, procurement puts in the order, and then it ships. Someone images it manually today, and days later, if not weeks, the developer can finally start coding on it. And if that person leaves, it is an uphill task. You get the machine shipped back to yourself, wipe it out, and start from scratch again. Windows teams today have cracked it with the VDI. Unfortunately, Mac teams haven't. But after this presentation, you do have a solution, which is the MacStadium VDI. So another quick poll. On an average, how long does it take you or your teams to provision a Mac machine, right from IT putting in a ticket, procuring it, shipping it, imaging it, and the workstation being actually with the developer or the end user start working on it?
So including shipping and everything?
Everything. And let a week.
Depending on, how it's available and stuff.
Absolutely. And if that person is in the country, now imagine geographically segregated, different contractors working in different countries, it takes days, weeks together for the person to be productive. Let's fix it. That is the problem that we're talking about. Our solution gives you a full Mac OS environment deployed in minutes, and it's just like you manage your Windows VDI. So let's break it down. The Mac virtual desktops, the real Mac OS VMs, not emulations, not a workaround, and it works on Apple Silicon hardware. Up to 2 VMs, that is a limit that Apple sets for the virtualization. And we can have a golden image wherever you need one. The data stays on the nodes, so either it's hosted in our data centers or it's on-prem. It stays on the Mac minis, not on the end-user machines, which means it's safe and secure. And scripted management, so it runs everything through Ansible playbooks. You can either use the CLI, you can run the playbooks through Ansible CLI, or through a UI, your comfort level, and then bulk operations as well. So you can do all the operations. You can deploy a VM, you can start a VM, you can delete a VM. All operations can be managed through a CLI, which means you can automate that, and you can do 500 or 100 VMs at a single go. Now imagine this. If you get a scenario where a team of 50 contractors in different geographies need to start on a Monday on a new project, how much time do you think you would need imagine that you have the workstations with you. We take off the logistics from it. How many days do you think it would take? Long time is a wonderful answer. Brilliant. With MacStadium VDI, you can come on, or probably before leaving on a Friday evening, you deploy those 50 VMs, and on a Monday, when these contractors have to start, they start with all the compliances in place, and the project starts on the Monday itself, not after a lot of days. And the Citrix native iteration, so we have integrated, we have tested, and we are in partner with Citrix. So the user experience wherein you want a near bare metal experience, working on a machine, not having latency, being able to have audio, video, be able to have all the different workloads like Xcode or any other application that you want, is integrated and has been tested. So we have tested it, but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't work on any other RDS that you want. So if you want to work with no machine or with HP Anywhere with a strike, I'm sure you know about HP Anywhere going out of the market, or Parsec, we can integrate it with any of those solutions. So who here is already running Citrix? Do we already run Citrix? Do we have experience with Citrix? Right, that's an interesting answer. But absolutely, as I said, Citrix has been integrated, but we are not tied to Citrix, as in the solution works with all the other solutions as well. So looking at how it works, now very, very beautifully simple. And I say it beautifully simple because these are the steps that you will actually do. The first thing is IT picks up a golden image. Now this golden image will have all the information that you need. It will have the base OS, your Xcode, DevTools, MDM config file, even the VDA, all baked in that image. Mac VDI spins up the Mac OS probably in a minute, and then IT triggers a Citrix enrollment, and we'll see there is an enrollment token that you will trigger, and that enrollment token is then put in on the VM. The end user will use a Citrix Workspace app, or probably through the browser goes to the Citrix Cloud, authenticates using your IDP, whatever IDP you're using internally, so that we are in compliance, we have the proper checks and balances in place, and then start using it. So no imaging, no waiting, and no hardware to ship. It's ready to use in absolutely 5 minutes is the maximum that we would spend on having a VM ready for an end user to use. From golden image to a live desktops in about 5 minutes, and we will do this when I demo. We are launching, as I said, with full validated Citrix support, Citrix HDX, DAS, and CVAD. Citrix expressly supports this, but, and I said I have a strike with HP Anywhere. HP Anywhere is not there anymore for commercial or enterprise use. And if you're interested in using any other VDI agent, as I said, we can help you test with that. It works with all the other VDI agents as well, like Parsec or No Machine, or if you want to use any other tool that you have today. So the MDM compatibility, we all want to manage these VMs. These VMs that are generated as part of the Mac VDI have their own unique physical ID. So you can enroll them in your MDM, whatever you're using today. Are we using Gemf, Intune, Eru? Wonderful. And you do an automatic device enrollment, or do you do a user-based? All right, brilliant. So that is something that probably wouldn't work with the Mac VDI, and that is a limitation, again, from Apple. However, I'll show you how we work with that, because we handle it at the boot. So a background script which installs the MDM agent automatically, and at the first login, user just has to approve the MDM profile. And then at that one prompt, which is done, the IT manages the VM in MDM exactly as you would do a physical machine today. No Apple Business Manager, but full MDM control. So if we are not losing control, we still will be able to see these machines. These machines will appear as a virtual machine in your MDM. You can put in all the profiles, your compliances, and your secure policies as you would do today on a physical Mac. And this is very important. We have a clear handoff because nothing kills a POC faster than who's doing what. So we definitely handle the infrastructure, the virtualization platform, networking, baseline Ansible playbooks is what we will provide to you, initial VM provisioning, so we will ensure that you are in a position where you can start using those playbooks, and the ongoing platform support. What you would need to manage is the Citrix deployment. Either you or your managed service provider, whoever you're working with, they can manage that for you. An MDM configuration, a golden image, which we definitely can help with you to create that golden image, and the user onboarding and day-to-day operations of management. Clear ownership and smoother go-live. Any questions on the responsibilities before we actually jump on the demo? Anything you would want to know or want us to own that we haven't figured here? Wonderful. So I will go into the demo now, and what I'll show you is I will show you the UI of how we manage these VMs. As I said, we have an Ansible playbook as well, where you can run these playbooks, accessing the Ansible controller. It is a headless orchestrator that we have. We will go create a VM. We will list all the VMs that are available. I will also show you how easy or difficult it is to manage from the Citrix part of it, and then eventually from the end user perspective to access a VM and see how it behaves. So 3 parts altogether. The base is creating a VM, which is at the infrastructure level. The middle is the Citrix, where we create enrollment tokens, assign these to users, and eventually the end user experience that we'll see. So if I quickly log into my controller here, that is a UI that you probably will get. And it has all the different templates that we need to manage, create, or do anything with our images or image management. So the first thing that I'll show you is, let's list all the VMs that we have currently. So right now, if I run that template, it will show that I only have one VM, which is called Webinar. What we'll now do is we will deploy a VM. I will name that as MacStadium. And then for the image. Now, what we also do is we have a repo called Orka Hub. You can go to Orka Hub. We publish the base OS images there. And we also have a plugin with Packer. So if you would want to use Packer tool and create your golden images, you can do that also. So let me take a Tahoe image and use that for my VM creation here. I'm using 2 CPUs. You can choose as many CPUs as you would want. The rule is that you can divide a particular Mac node into 2. So you can divide equally into 2 or in any combination that you would want. Or we can create just one VM to make sure that we are still leveraging the virtualization benefits and still giving the specs that the end user needs. And that's it. So let's see how much time does it take to create that particular VM. I think I said 1 minute. Should be done in a minute. I can blame it on the network here. But it's still under a minute. Or did I choose a heavy image? I probably might have, with a lot of tools in it. Guys, we are still under a minute. Okay, let me stretch that we'll do end-to-end in 5 minutes. What's happening right now is, so right now it's trying to access the image from a GitHub repo. It's downloading that particular image and then deploying that VM. So we need to account into that as well. But it should be done anytime now. And while it's doing that, let me show you our Orka Hub as well. So as I said, we have Orka Hub. We have templates wherein you can use these particular templates with the plugin. It's very simple to install the plugin. You can download the template. We have examples for the basic personas for developers, like you would want to use CocoaPod or Xcode or any other tool that you would want. You can put in your credentials there. You can put in the MDM tools. You can put in the VDA enrollment token. So all of that can be put in that template, and then it creates a golden image for you. All right, brilliant. I'm 100% sure that I can safely blame it on the network. However, while it's doing that, let me show you what we need to do in Citrix. So Citrix DAS, you log on to the Citrix DAS, you have the machine catalogs. Now, in these machine catalogs, basically these machine catalogs would be segregated into different departments. You can have different departments where you can create these machine catalogs for, and then the only thing that we need to do is, say for example, I click here and then I will say I need enrollment token. So I will generate an enrollment token, put in a name there, when do I want this to start and when do I want this to add. So I can give it a life. If I know if it is a persistent VM, then we can put it for like 2 years, 3 years. You can decide on the time. And then what you can also do is you can put in the number. So we don't have to generate enrollment tokens every time we have to create a VM. I can say here 100, and the same enrollment token would be valid for 100 VMs that I would want to register for the VDA. And having done that, the next thing that you need to do is the delivery groups. Now, these delivery groups are, again, basically segregated into different departments or how you would want to present to the different users. And if I go into one of the delivery groups, what I'll do is I'll click on Add Machine. What would have happened is the machine that we generated using the deploy VM, which has been generated, it definitely took a bit longer. But let's check about the list now. It should have 2 VMs right now. The first VM that we had was Webinar. The second one that we created is the Mac Ed demo. So I already have the machine generated here. And what I'll do is I'll do the final bit here, add the machine. It will list out all the machines that are available. The only thing I need to do is I can change the name that would appear on the Citrix Workspace app, and then I can go in and assign a user. So let me find myself here, which means Citrix is integrated with your IDP. You will be able to assign it to a user automatically. It finds me here, and the only thing that I need to do is assign it to myself. That is it. We're done here. The next thing is, from the end user perspective, the end user would probably need a workspace app. It's a very thin app, a lightweight app, or I can just go to my Citrix cloud in the browser. If you're using Citrix, you can use Citrix Chrome, which is a safe browser, and you will be able to present something like this. So your end user will see the machines that have been presented to them on this Citrix Workspace app. So if I double click on the Citrix VDI here, the Citrix HDX technology will then broker and then connect to the machine which is connected or assigned to that particular user and give you an environment which is a macOS environment. I will log into this, and then you can see this is a VM. Sorry, that's another machine that popped up. So you can see this is an Apple virtual machine. We gave it 4 gig of RAM, 2 CPU cores, and it's running Sequoia right now. You can go ahead, do any operation that you would want on it. There wasn't an MDM profile that I added to it, but then you can add an MDM profile, and the next step for the end user will be to accept that particular profile, install it, and then it will be managed in your MDM already. Let's look at the latency here. So if I have to type anything, if I have to use it as my normal day machine, you can see there is acceptable latency. There would be little latency, but it will be acceptable latency that you can still work. And let me tell you, the machines that I've been accessing are in our Vegas data center. I'm connected to a VPN client as well, and then we are accessing it from the Wi-Fi internally here. Now imagine when this is either in your production environments or it's on-prem, the latency would definitely be lesser. So that is the VM environment that we just created. Let me just go back to the UI before I take any questions. So there are a lot of other operations that you can do. You can pull an image. So if you're managing your golden images in any OCI compliant repo today, it could be Artifactory, GitHub, or AWS ECR, ACR. You can pull images there. You can also go ahead and create images. And what we are also working is we are working to install the Citrix VDA and register the Citrix VDA automatically, which means there is nothing that you will need to do manually. Everything would be already built in to the whole flow. So I'll take a pause here and we'll wait for any questions that you have. I have not done that good job that you have no questions.
You support dual monitors, and is it applicable even with a good internet speed, like for graphic artists as well, like where you use video and large images and stuff? Yeah.
Absolutely. So audio and video are supported, and the connection. So from the end user perspective, the connection, the broadband connection doesn't need to be very high speed. You can connect from a normal home broadband, and you still will be able to connect. So we have currently today, we have the VDA solution, which is the bare metal Citrix VDA that we have, and we have customers who are having users logging in from India or Far East from Asia to our Dublin data center, or from Australia to our Vegas data center, and they're able to access it fine.
And dual monitor?
Yes.
We have Horizon from Omnisa, and we provide Windows and Linux. Can this be integrated with the Horizon environment?
So Horizon has not been tested yet. However, as I said, we are in the process. So this particular product would be GA on 30th of April. So we are in the process. We are testing other applications and platforms as well. And I definitely will feed this back. And I'm sure our engineering team is having a roadmap where we will test Omnisa or Horizon as well. But currently, We have tested it with Citrix, and it would work with Parsec and the no machine as well.
As I saw that you've got, when we looked at that one machine and the other machine, they had different processors. So what kind of hardware are you able to give to the users for obviously, because obviously it's Mac processors. So does it depend on what your back end is, or are you able to choose that from M3, M4, and is it going to go all the way through to different types of hardware? From a
Brilliant
Mac point of view?
question.
Yeah.
So what we do is, it definitely depends on what the physical node is. And that physical node can be an M2XL or an M4M or a studio or a custom built as well. You will be able to split it into two. Now again, depending on what you choose. So the solution is that you have, so if you're using it in our hosted data centers, you will choose the physical node depending on the specs that you need. And there will be a license for the VDI on top of it. Now again, if I choose a studio with 64 cores and 128 gigs, I can split it into half and half depending on. Or if I have to use it in a use case like media, I can just create one VM and give it all to one. Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Wonderful. Any other queries? Brilliant. Is this something that you think is relevant or would be helpful in your day-to-day life, or something that you always thought should be available for Mac environments?
I think the price is also very important, yeah.
Absolutely. And I can guarantee that the pricing that we have, and I'll definitely let Michael, my sales director, plug in with you, that the pricing that we have is at par. There isn't a competition as such, but absolutely it will be viable at an enterprise scale. The pricing definitely differs when you go into a bigger number of machines that you have, but we definitely can work out, and the pricing will definitely not have an impact on what you are spending today. So let's look at the pricing. Brilliant question that you brought up. So today what we're doing is, we're spending on the physical machines, we're spending on someone who's managing them, logistics, and more important to that, I've had discussions with customers wherein there are almost about 50 to 100 tickets which are still pending for machines which have not come back from employees who have left or contractors who have left. So if you combine all of that, definitely you will have a TCO which makes sense, and the pricing that makes sense to what we are having as an issue today with Mac OS environments, in not having a VDI altogether, but also being able to create a Mac OS environment in physical machines rather than a virtual machine. Yes, please.
Just, I don't know if it's the right kind of question to ask on this, but how does Apple think about this? What are their thoughts of you virtualizing the OS? Yeah.
Wonderful question again. So we are a prime partner with Apple. Chris here probably meets Apple. He's our CTO, and he meets Apple, if not every week, bi-weekly for sure. This is aligned to the Apple hypervisor framework. Apple allows 2 VMs. This is as per the EULA and absolutely perfect within the guidelines. Please.
You obviously you still need a computer to be able to connect to the virtual machine and work with it. Do you find, in your example of a new user, that new user still needs some sort of computer to connect to your virtual machine? Do you find that that's a BYOD situation, or are your clients still shipping work machines to them? Or is it just a thin client?
A very practical question, though. Thank you for asking that. So 2 scenarios altogether. Absolutely BYOD. The end user, and the good thing is, the BYOD scenario, the end user could be using a Linux machine or a Windows machine and still accessing your macOS environment. The IP or the data stays on the node, not on the end user machine. And then what they can also do is some of the enterprises who we have been discussing this with and are looking forward to this being GA is that they would have a Mac Mini or a developer environment on this VDI and probably ship something like a Neo to the end user, and they can still use it, do their normal stuff on that smaller machine, but do the development work on the Mac Mini nodes. Wonderful. Any other question that I can answer?
Is there a limit to the resolution or the size of a monitor or two monitors on the Citrix now?
Oh,
So,
sorry. Did everybody hear? No. I don't have to repeat myself.
so I definitely will have to cross-check on the resolution. I'm sure there is a resolution that we have today. On the two monitors, I think we're fine. But what I will definitely do is I will park that question and I'll get back to you on that question after confirming, unless, Chris, you want to comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, the question.
The resolution and the two monitor support.
I don't know the maximum resolution, but it does support high resolution. You saw when he was dragging the screen.
I did see some.
It reapproximates the resolution based on his, so there is dynamic resolution, and it does support higher resolution monitors. It also supports multi-monitor. It also supports, although asterisks, depending on device pass-through like tablets and iPhones for testing, so USB pass-through and other device pass-through. So there are capabilities to do that. There are some limits if you've got a 7 million inch virtual display, maybe there's some limitation there, but within reason it supports multi-monitor and high resolution.
You were saying just then, just alluding, you can do it on phone?
Yeah, a lot of developers, well, you know, from a USB pass-through or a device pass-through, they do want device pass-through or tablet pass-through or other device, and it is possible to pass through a device to the VM. Also, you can do Zoom and video. I wouldn't encourage him to do that live here during this network situation, but in general, we see people regularly and often doing a Zoom call or, you know, YouTube video or any other kind of things that they need to do in the environment. It's not limited.
Well, the limitation must be coherence and airdrop and things like
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
it's not a miracle machine.
right? No. But you know what I mean. Like you shouldn't. It's not. It shouldn't impact their day-to-day workflow. If they need to watch a video, they can watch a video. Audio's clear. You can do a call. You can pass through the local webcam to the VM so that you can do a video call from where you are to the VM. That kind of thing.
And just to add to what Chris said, you can have all your restrictions and policies within Citrix, so you can decide what files should be chosen, how the USB should be shared, or if you want to have a copy-paste option available. So all of that policies can either be done through Citrix, or you're already doing it through your MDM profile, so that works similarly as on the VMs as well. Please.
So when you go to provision one of the images, and you kind of had like a dev toolkit and things like that, is the order of operations you spin up the VM, you install those tools, and then you do the MDM enrollment to do the profiles, or is it VM enrollment and then the tools?
Yeah. So the enrollment token is a one-time operation. As I said, you can do it for 100 machines or 200 machines. That's one time you generate a token, download that file. If it's hosted with us, you can provide us that file. We can keep it with us. And any number of machines that you keep adding, we can get them ready for you. When you are doing the second option is your provisioning image of a VM, I think it would be wise and recommended that you create your golden image with everything baked in. So all of the tools, everything is in the golden image, which means when you spin up the golden image, that would have the VDA already. And I showed you that we are already working on registration of the VDA as well. So the enrollment token that has been generated can be put into the golden image already. So when it spins up, fires up, and we have a first login, the VDA is already there. And then the user just have to go through and accept the profile installation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but just trying to think where compliance and deployment of things like Xcode would fit in, because, yeah, if you've got to wait for a 13 gig image.
Sort of flexibility in order of operations, to be honest with you. So to his point, you create an image, but you can enroll that base image in MDM and let MDM build it out. You can build it out and then provision that across multiple machines, and each of them has MDM, and then MDM keeps compliance and spec for each of the VMs. It sort of depends on your compliance and regulatory workflow and the tool you feel most comfortable deploying applications with. When he alluded to Packer, that's a command line driven tool that builds the image in more of a Docker-like fashion where it kind of layers up all the tooling. Some people like that. Some people prefer, because they already have it baked, to just drive it out through the MDM process because it's simple and it's one click. It kind of depends on what works best in your IT workflow.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
No worries. I'm just a spectator.
Wonderful. We are just about time. Any other last questions? Brilliant. Well, that was MacStadium VDI solution for you. I hope you got to know a bit more about what we do as MacStadium as a company and what the solution is about. And I'm sure when you go back and see alignment in your day-to-day work that you're doing today, there definitely will be value. As I said, I'm based out of London. My sales director, Michael, is based out of London. Chris has flown in from US. But we will be able to help you. We can probably do a demo or a POC that you're interested in, and we can bridge that gap or the pain point that you're having today, bringing a macOS environment from days to minutes. Thank you.